This is the first issue of DC Death Metal, the big new crossover by Snyder and Greg Batman. It has got a shining cover and a different like that. This is a sequel to Metal Dark Knight, and there are some good things in this, but I am not entirely sold on this story yet. Let's dig into this, and our first page is Sergeant Fury, and some of the worst scripting in the whole issue. It'll take you ages to read this comic just because the writing on this first page is so off-putting. Our idea with DC Death Metal is it's like Age of Armageddon, except instead of Armageddon ruling the world, this time it is the tiresome Batman who does a laugh. We have got a map here showing this new world. I'll draw your attention to one thing. It's a pity that DC's only idea with Captain Ataman is to constantly make him into a bomb. In this world, we have Wonder Woman. She's meant to be the main star of the story since she has a film coming out. Her and a dishevelled Man-Thing, they have allied with Batman who does a laugh for self-preservation reasons. They are plotting against him. She acts as his jailer, although she's actually jailing people to save them from Batman who does a laugh. Then her and Man-Thing, they meet up with a group of Batman who does a laugh's lieutenants. They are all evil versions of Batman from the multiverse. They have come to deliver a new prisoner. One of them is a big Tyrannosaurus Rex Batman. If you are looking forward to learning more about this iteration of Batman and all his backstory, you're going to be disappointed because DC will no longer be publishing Warren Fallis's story starring him. Up front, I could not give a rat's arse about this dystopian world or this plot. If it was just this, I would not have even bothered getting this. I read the digital version on the day of release because I could not physically get it out here. If it was just this shite, I wouldn't have bothered with it. This alternate universe rubbish with Batman who does a laugh. But there is one element coming up that filled me with some hope. Here we have got Batman who does a laugh and his council. I am sure all of these super exciting characters, they will all be receiving stories detailing their origins and their personalities, except for Dinosaur Batman and any of the others who are being written by exposed predators. I think, like everyone else, I'm just sick of Batman who does a laugh. I liked it originally. I thought it was a nice design and he served a purpose as a big villain for a crossover. But then DC, they just went overboard in trying to make him a thing well after the point. The original Metal Dark Knight, I still consider it to be enjoyable. The main series by Snyder and Greg Batman, that is good, and I think a lot of the criticisms pointed towards the event, they all come from tie-in issues by other writers. The main series, it's not overly grim or dark, there's very little unpleasant violence or out like that. Batman, he shows up, except we have got to sell toys and designer statues. So now Batman is wearing a leather jacket with spikes on the shoulders. So there is a big fight. And Batman, he is a Black Lanterns now. And he can raise the dead. And this does just feel like a child throwing toys around. A lot of the stuff from the big two, they have been locked in this Abbott for years now, where the only ideas seem to be mashing things together. Here though, here is Lunatic, and he is drawn really well by Greg Batman. But what I really want to talk about is The Flask, the Willie West version. Zack Snyder, he comes along and he completely overturns the awful shite that Willie West had editorially mandated upon him at the end of his last miniseries. I didn't review it, but what happened was, we had a 6-issue miniseries where they tried to salvage Willie West's character after Heroes in Christmas. But then the last issue, it just did a total U-turn and it set Willie West up as the villain for Dan Diddy Dido's next crossover. Willie West, he had his entire personality and all his memories erased, and he became the new version of Manhattan Man, and he was going to destroy the multiverse. He was going to be the big bad. Also, that's another example of mashing stuff together. Flask and Manhattan Man. But Dan Diddy Dido, he got fired, and it seems that crossover isn't going to happen. So here, Zack Snyder, he has Willie West and he undoes all that spiteful stuff. Willie West remembers who he is, and he's not evil, and this is exactly what made me care about this comic. Rather than Ganon evil, Willie West instead has become the art of this crossover. When he got powered up at the end of the miniseries, he saw the truth of the universe, and Zack Snyder does some usual Zack Snyder stuff, which I didn't like. He loves to explain stuff away as being some form of energy, and apparently all the big crossovers at DC, they are the result of something called Christmas energy, and that is just needless and stupid. But then Batman, who does a laugh, shows up and he wants to kill the Flask because the Flask knows so much about the multiverse that he might know how to stop them. And then in a big surprise, Wonder Woman kills Batman, who does a laugh, hopefully ridding us of this overused villain Sue. It turns out that the baddie for this one will instead be a new version of Manhattan Man. Then we end with Batman and Sergeant Fury, but who cares? This has good art throughout. I'm not sold on the story, but the stuff with the Flask does inspire some confidence. I am really happy we have gotten rid of Dan Diddy Dido, and characters like Willie West and Kyle Reese, they can finally breathe sighs of relief instead of being offered up as sacrificial lambs to crossovers and plots. I'm not really that thrilled about the story. I'm not that impressed with what we've got here. I didn't think the world that it sets up is very interesting, and I didn't think it seems that into the world itself, as exampled by its sticking with showing things from Wonder Woman's rather limited perspective. We will see how this one turns out. I'll keep checking it out until Willie West either dies, turns evil, or is disgraced. For the time being, I rate it 7 thumbs up.